In 2015, a German airplane crashed into the Alps without any prior warning. 150 people on board died instantly. The crash site was extremely tragic. And when the cause of the crash was revealed, everyone was shocked. It turned out it was all caused by one pilot. On Tuesday, March 24, 2015, at 10:01 a.m., Germanwings Flight 9525 was preparing to take off from Spain, flying over the Gulf of Lyon, across the French Alps, finally heading to Düsseldorf, Germany. The whole journey was supposed to take about 2.5 hours. The aircraft was an Airbus 320, carrying 144 passengers and 6 crew members, a total of 150 people. The pilot was named Patrick Sondenheim, who was very experienced. The co-pilot was named Andreas Lubitz, with 630 hours of flying experience. He was in control of this flight. Half an hour later, the plane reached an altitude of 11,582 meters. From here until landing, the plane would be on autopilot. But after a while, air traffic control noticed that Flight 9525 was rapidly descending. Such an action without air traffic control's permission is prohibited because there are other planes in the air posing a collision risk. So air traffic control quickly contacted them, but no matter how they tried, Flight 9525 did not respond. Minutes later, the plane disappeared from radar. It turns out Flight 9525 had crashed on the Alps. The crash site was extremely tragic. No part of the aircraft remained intact. Debris was scattered everywhere, let alone survivors. Even a whole bone could not be found at the scene. Because the crash was so sudden and without warning, various speculations and conspiracy theories emerged. Everyone wanted to know what exactly happened on the plane in those few minutes. The French Bureau of Inquiry and Analysis for Civil Aviation Safety was responsible for the investigation. Crash causes are generally attributed to weather, terror attacks, or mechanical failures, etc. Thus, they started with the weather and found that the weather was clear, even without turbulence. Therefore, weather factors were quickly ruled out. Next, they investigated all passengers' backgrounds and ruled out the possibility of hijacking. Was it a mechanical failure? But since the plane was shattered, it was difficult to examine mechanical issues. At this time, the black box data was finally retrieved. They immediately analyzed the flight recorder data and the cockpit voice recordings. The contents were shocking. It turns out this horrific crash was not caused by a malfunction, but was entirely due to deliberate human action. In the first half hour of the recording, everything was normal until the co-pilot said one sentence. Since the plane was on autopilot, there was little for the pilot to do. The co-pilot suggested the captain take a bathroom break, since it might get busy later. The captain then left his seat to go to the restroom. As soon as he left, the cockpit door was locked, leaving only the co-pilot inside. The breathing inside indicated there was no lack of oxygen, and the cabin was not depressurized. When air traffic control called, the co-pilot did not respond. This puzzled the investigators, and what was more baffling was yet to come. In the recording, you can clearly hear the captain knocking to get back in. The co-pilot inside surely heard it too, but he just wouldn't open the door for the captain. Later, the captain tried to call into the cockpit, but still, no one answered. So the captain started banging on the door, but until the plane crashed, the cockpit door was never opened again. Did the co-pilot suddenly become ill and faint? But the flight data recorder confirmed the co-pilot was not only conscious, he also purposefully manipulated some controls. Flight data showed after the captain left the cockpit, the co-pilot locked the cockpit door and set the autopilot altitude to 30 meters. After that, the plane began its rapid descent from thousands of meters to the ground, and during that descent, he even increased the flight speed several times. All this indicates the crash was not an accident, but was deliberately caused by the co-pilot. So why did he do it? Investigators were baffled and began to delve into the co-pilot's background. Then the reasons for his deliberate act emerged. The co-pilot, Andreas, started flight training in September 2008, but just 2 months later, he took a break for 9 months. What happened? It turns out he was sick, and not with just any illness, but with depression. Depression is a long-term and continuous mental illness. People with severe cases can experience hallucinations, paranoid delusions, suicidal tendencies, and multiple personality disorders among other symptoms. The co-pilot's medical records showed he had been hospitalized several times due to severe illness, but it's unclear how he managed to get a medical clearance from his doctors, and after completing his training, he joined Germanwings as a pilot and had been flying for 6 years. But this did not mean he was cured. In fact, he was just struggling through. Before the crash occurred, he had already started having hallucinations. His doctor said there was a time he believed he was about to go blind and feared losing his job because of it. The co-pilot seemed to be on the verge of a breakdown. To keep this hard-earned job, he had consulted more than 41 doctors. So why didn't Germanwings know about this? And why didn't the doctors report to the airline? Germanwings was unaware because in their medical exams, this part was filled out by the pilots themselves. And doctors didn't speak up due to doctor-patient confidentiality agreements. Revealing patient information could lead to imprisonment. Actually, what the co-pilot should have done was to resign immediately, but clearly that was not possible. To sum up this crash, it shows that the root cause was Germanwings' lax management, failing to pay attention to the mental health of pilots, allowing a person with severe depression to operate flights. They obviously have a serious management problem to allow someone with severe depression to fly. They clearly have a serious management issue. Alright, this video ends here. Thank you for watching.